Hello chess friends, I am Aman and welcome back to Master Chess. Today I am going to show you a brilliant chess game played between the Madras Tiger, that is Viswanathan Anand sir, and Levon Aronian. This is one of the best games of Vishy Anand's chess career and has lived up to his expectation. This game was played at the Wimbledon of chess, that is the Tata Steel, in 2013. Anand's rating at the time of the tournament was 2772 and Aronian's rating was 2802. So Levon Aronian is 30 points more rated than Viswanathan Anand. So Levon Aronian is with the white pieces and opens with 1, d4, the queen's pawn opening, d5, c4 and c6, initiating the game into the Slav defense. And you don't want to go into the mess with the world champion Viswanathan Anand because he's one of the best prepared grandmasters in the Slav defense. Knight to f3, knight to f6, knight to c3 and e6. Here, e3 was played, preparing to develop the light squared bishop. And knight b to d7. Here, bishop to d3 was played, and only now after the bishop has moved, d takes on c4, forcing white to lose a tempo. And here, b5 was played, gaining another tempo, bishop to d3, and now bishop to d6. Here, this is somewhat novelty because this has been played very less times and the common choice is a6. Here, Anand's idea is to attack down the king side with this bishop, and later this bishop comes to b7 and puts huge pressure on these two diagonals. Both sides castle in this position, and now queen to c2 eyeing down the h7 pawn. Bishop to b7 is played in the game, and now just a3, stopping a4 and a5 and b4 ideas later in the game. Now rook to c8 was played, developing a piece, and knight to g5. Here the development of both the sides are almost done and we are almost into the middle game. Knight to g5 is played, adding the third attacker to the h7 pawn. Here a common choice is h6, but this was not what was played in the game. Before revealing what was played in the game, I would like to show you one interesting variation from here. The variation is bishop takes on h2 check, king takes h2, knight to g4 check, and after the king moves, you can pick up this knight. So, it might happen that after bishop takes on h2 check, the king moves to h1. Now, you can go for knight to g4 and white has a good attack down the king side after queen to h4. But in the game, the Madras Tiger played the move c5, sacrificing the h7 pawn. Aronian takes it with the knight. The computer recommends taking it with the bishop would have been better, but Anand was prepared for both, as he told in the post-match interview that he was expecting any of them. And now knight to g4 was played. Viswanathan Anand sacrifices his rook. Now let us first explore the option of taking this rook. If you take this rook, then black can go for bishop takes h2 check, king to h1 and queen to h4, and black has an overwhelming attack in this position. Therefore, in the game, Aronian did not take this rook. Instead, went for f4. Now this f4 move, the purpose of this move is to block at least one bishop's diagonal. And now d takes on e5, c takes on d4, c takes on d4, and now bishop to c5 was played. The brilliant move. Here, it seems that if Anand has left this bishop hanging, but since he has deliberately done that, there is no choice of taking. First, let's explore the option if it takes. If he takes on c5, then knight takes on c5, and the computer recommends one variation here after knight takes f8, bishop takes d6, and now queen to d4 check cannot be stopped, and the problem is that black has two attackers on the f2 square. Therefore, this position is very good for black. To show you the threat, if white plays any careless move like b3, then queen d4 check, king to h1, knight g to f2 with check, rook takes f2, knight takes f2 check, king to g1, knight to h3 check, king to h1, and queen to g1 is gonna be mate. Therefore, after bishop to c5, you can't take the bishop. Aronian considered bishop to e2, but this is an even bad move because it cuts off the queen's defense from the f2, g2 and the h2 squares, which makes the defense weaker of the white king. Here, Anand played the brilliant move knight d to e5. Here, Anand is following the principle of Mikhail Tal. He once said that when two of your pieces are hanging, hang the third one because your opponent can take only one. So now, let's first see what happens to f takes on e5. If f takes on e5, then simple move queen takes on g4 check wins for black, because after king to g1, there's gonna be brilliant smothered mate. For those who don't know, I'm gonna show it. Queen to g1 with check, rook takes on g1, and now the beautiful mate knight to f2 checkmate. The white king has no squares to go, and this is a beautiful mate. So therefore, after knight d to e5, obviously you can't take this knight because this pawn is pinned. And if you take with the bishop, there's again queen to d4 check, king to h1, knight to f2 check, rook takes f2 and queen takes f2. Here, black has a threat of a mate in 1. You can't go bishop f3 to stop that, because then we are gonna deal with queen to f1 mate, and this position also is completely winning for black. Therefore, Aronian decides to remove at least one piece from the attack with bishop takes on g4. And now first bishop takes on d4 with check, because black has no time to save the bishop as it is a check. And now king to h1, and only now knight takes on g4 was played in the game. Here, Levon Aronian considered taking the rook. Knight takes on f8. And now the idea is that if once white gets his queen to f7, there's gonna be high counterplay for him. And black's idea here in this position is getting queen to h4, and then it's gonna be completely winning for black if black successfully gets queen to h4. Here Madras Tiger brilliantly plays the move f5. Now the purpose of the move f5 is to block the queen. Here white has two options. First, he may consider taking the e6 pawn with the knight, and the second, knight to g6, which was played in the game to stop queen h4. First, let's see what happens to knight takes on e6. To knight takes on e6, there's simply queen to h4 and there's no stopping mate. Therefore, in the game, knight to g6 was played, and now queen to f6 attacking the knight. h3 was played, but there's no attack on the knight, because once you take, queen to h4 is gonna be incoming, or queen to h7 is gonna incoming. Therefore, you're gonna be mate and you can't take the knight. Queen takes g6, simply winning a piece. Queen to e2, and now queen to h5, pinning the pawn and also attacking the pawn as the g2 pawn is pinned. Queen to d3, the final mistake of the game from Levon Aronian, and after the final move from Viswanathan Anand, bishop to e3, Levon Aronian resigned the game. The reason behind resignation is that you can't stop the mate. If you want to stop the mate, you have to give up the queen. Let me show you how. Now the threat is that after this queen is blocked, black wants to play queen takes on h3 with a checkmate. If you take with the queen, we are gonna just pick up your queen. There are too many threats to deal with, and you can't deal with them at all at once. And if you take with the bishop, you yourself block the path of the queen, and that is gonna be mate in two moves. After king to g1 and queen takes on g2, it's gonna be mate. Therefore, after the last piece sacrifice from Viswanathan Anand, bishop to e3, Levon Aronian resigned the game, and Viswanathan Anand created history with this brilliant game. So friends, I hope you liked this game and my video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and do drop your comments in the comment section below.